Okay, back to the questions which I most rudely interrupted my good friend for. Go ahead.
Okay. So there is a false paradigm debate on what a socialized system and what a free market system is.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest sticking points in that false debate is the subject of education for people's kids.
Okay.
Um, my question to you is, in a truly free market setting, how would, say, people of lesser means be able to put their kids through a privatized education system for the
Okay.
furtherance of their education?
All right. So that's actually not that big problem because we already seen the signs of it showing up. There's a lot of online schooling going on nowadays. One of the places we mentioned here on the podcast previously is the Khan Academy, or actually I mentioned it. And while in retrospect, I don't necessarily think that he is the absolute best in that sense, right?
Right.
He is the freest. He a lot of what he says, a grain of salt, of course, being discerned on issues like religion and stuff like that, right? Um, can be considered valid, at least good starting points for your education in a sense, right? And he puts these things out for free. All you need there is simply a viewing medium like your laptop or computer and an internet connection. You can see all his videos on YouTube. And a lot of other people out there put out these things for free too. You get the guys like Aaron Ra who argue the evolution thing a lot more against the creationist stuff, um, who are very intelligent people. And Aaron Ra is a very intelligent person, I should mention, right? In his arguments, in a sense. And I mentioned, I'm not dropping it, I don't know these guys personally, but I do listen to at least to what he has to say because he's very good in his assessment against the creationism in his pro-evolution standpoint. And that's just an example. He's very good to arguing this case. Of course, he's arguing the case from the idea that, at least in his fundamental flaws videos, right, of creationism, from the fact that the creationists don't understand this concept. That's not the question we're even trying to answer today, so I should stop answering a question that I'm not being asked. The poor can also educate themselves more with the fact that you have a lot of workbooks out there nowadays. You can go to any kind of school supply store and pick it up and learn from there. Another good place to go to is the Mises Academy has recently started on economics and political thought and things like that. Of course, that's a much higher level thing than kids. You want at least the basics for kids. And for that matter, for that, you can probably go back to the Khan Academy currently. In a more free market where you weren't, um, where the schools weren't owned by the government, used to be the fact that churches would teach kids for free, and that was one of the ultimate reasons that that Catholics were hated because they thought that they were indoctrinating kids into uh, believing the Pope over being more loyal to the Pope than they were to their country, which is interesting because from the feel of it, America's been really nationalized for a long time, nationalist country for a long time. Anyways, these are just examples that show that have been historically. The church thing is historic, right? The Mises Institute, it's Mises Academy, but there's the Mises Institute and there's their academy, right? There's actually don't remember the name of it, but there is something you can go to capmag.com, I think the website is, and you can find out they have their own little online thing, or at least setup points how you can homeschool your kid to a more capitalist free market system. And there is, of course, Khan Academy. And there's any number of things out there. You get Sesame Street teaching kids before going to preschool and kindergarten, for goodness sake, right?
Mm-hmm.
These things already exist, but so you wouldn't even necessarily even have to pay money for it. But once again, get back to the factor of economically, right? In a free market in a free market economy kind of sense, the only thing keeping you from, say, opening your own school is startup costs. So you'd have people fighting back and forth over the money by competing for better education. Or at very least what the parents want your kids to learn. Now, this isn't going to absolutely be, and once again, I go back to the fact that I couldn't tell you exactly how it always is going to work, because now I'm also remembering there's tutors and stuff like that too, right? But in some cases, you can expect the company you work for, should I say, uh, opening schools to for your children as well. That's just another example. And basically, you're going to see, like a lot of things in a more free market system, over time the price drops and the quality goes up. That's a tendency for a lot of things.
Cell phones being an example?
Cell phones is an excellent example. So let's go on to the next question.
Okay. Another question I have is, right now, there is a lot of anger among the American public about financial institutions, bailouts.
Yeah, the majority of people did not want the recent bailouts, and they overshot your questions. Yeah, they said, no, you're wrong, which in a way should tell you how democratic this country really is. But go on.
So, they don't, it goes to the...
It's alright, take your time. We can start another one up. It's no problem.
Okay. So, with them being angry about their tax money going to bail out financial institutions, it goes into a similar question of, in your definition, from what you have seen of that, what would you describe our current governmental system based on the actions involving the financial bailouts?
Well, like I said, definitely not democratic. It is solely a little more to the Republic standpoint, where people you have, in this case, we do democratically vote the representatives into office, right?
Right.
But as I remember from my studies of politics, representatives could more or less be seen as being three types.
Mm-hmm.
One is someone who does exactly what the people want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
The other one's being a trustee. And the third one is some kind of mix between the two. I can't remember the official name, like I couldn't remember the first one for there. And at least in the last bailouts, they were definitely working on the ideas of being a trustee, right? Building what they believe to be the best interest. And that's being polite there, because it overlooks the fact that a lot of corporations had their hands in making the bill for the bailouts. And it may be much more honest to say that the corporations bought those guys out.
Which goes to the next question of people knowing the false debate. People are concerned, by and large, that if we unregulated the market, that they would be able to do more of the buying out and writing of congressional bills.
Well, okay.
With that in mind, with some of the regulations passed in the early 20th century, antitrust or other
Okay, hold on a second. We're getting close to the end of this one, so I'm going to stop and have you start again, okay?
Okay.